You think you're in control of your own life, but what if everything you believe about yourself, your choices, even your relationships, is being quietly manipulated? The truth is, most people walk through life with invisible strings attached, and you can't see who is pulling them. But Carl Jung warned us long ago, the brighter your nice side shines, the deeper your shadow may be exploited. In the next few minutes, we're going to uncover 7 dark psychology tricks that people use to control you without your knowledge. Tricks that prey on your unconscious, your trust, even your empathy. Micro Mystery 1. Have you ever done something for someone and later wondered why you even agreed? That's trick number 1 at work. Micro Mystery 2. Have you ever been convinced you were wrong when deep down you knew you were right? That's trick number 3 in action. Micro Mystery 3. And the one you're about to see is so subtle, most people never realize they've been trapped until it's too late. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand how manipulators work. You'll know how to break free. Every shadow they use against you is about to be revealed. You think you're a good person. You are polite, helpful, and considerate. You suppress your anger to keep the peace. But Carl Jung warned that the brighter the light you show the world, the darker the shadow you cast behind you. That light, that kindness, that niceness can hide a shadow capable of manipulation, control, and silent destruction. In the world of dark psychology, there are those who understand the human mind far better than you realize, and they exploit the shadow within you with precision. The first of these manipulative tactics is love bombing. It starts gently, almost imperceptibly, with attention, praise, gifts, and flattery. You feel seen, important, validated. Every compliment lights up a hidden corner of your shadow, the part of you that craves recognition and approval. Jung called these projections of the anima and animus. When someone knows your shadow, they can feed it, satisfy it, and make you dependent on their validation. And once dependence forms, the strings tighten without your notice. The affection becomes a leash, and the kindness you offer in return strengthens their control. It is a subtle domination disguised as love. The silent treatment is another weapon. The absence of communication leaves you unmoored. No answers, no explanations, only uncertainty. Your unconscious begins to spiral, questioning your worth, doubting your perception. Jung understood that the unconscious drives behavior more than the conscious mind ever admits. When someone withdraws attention, they are activating your shadow fears, the insecurity you try to suppress, the self-doubt you refuse to face. You search for reconciliation, apologize for imagined faults, overextend yourself to regain connection, and in doing so, unknowingly strengthen the manipulator's hold over your mind. Silence becomes a tool of domination, invisible yet heavy. Gaslighting is perhaps the most insidious of all. Here, the manipulator rewrites your reality. Your memory, your judgment, even your emotions are questioned. You imagined it, they insist. You are overreacting, they whisper. Slowly, doubt creeps in like ink spreading through water, saturating the hidden corners of your shadow, the insecurities and fears you deny to yourself. Reality becomes malleable in their hands, and you begin to mistrust even your instincts. This tactic is terrifying because it attacks your very perception of truth. But when you recognize it, the veil lifts, and the shadow they exploit loses its power. You begin to reclaim reality and regain control over your life. Guilt is another weapon. Subtle, invisible, yet devastating. Manipulators exploit your empathy, moral compass, and inner critic. They make you responsible for their emotions, their failures, and even their happiness. Your shadow, filled with resentment, unacknowledged anger, and fear, responds immediately. You apologize constantly, self-sabotage decisions, and overextend to appease them. The guilt becomes a leash that keeps you bound. The manipulator knows exactly which buttons to press, which hidden fears to awaken, and which denied desires to exploit. Each act of submission reinforces their control and leaves your shadow struggling in silence. Future faking is a more sophisticated tactic. They paint visions of a shared future, of promises fulfilled and dreams realized. But these are illusions. You chase the hope projected onto your shadow self, the part of you longing for stability, recognition, or love. Carl Jung spoke of projection as a fundamental process of the psyche, and manipulators exploit it effortlessly. While you invest your energy and emotion in these false futures, the manipulator remains untouchable, always one step ahead, always invisible. Hope, once a motivating force, becomes a tether that binds you to their will. These tactics, love bombing, silence, gaslighting, guilt, and future faking, are all tools of dark psychology, instruments designed to manipulate, control, and dominate. They prey on the human mind, exploiting the hidden, unconscious corners of the psyche that most people never confront. Each interaction is a test, a subtle probing of weaknesses, and the manipulator adjusts their approach based on your reactions. Shadow work, the journey of confronting and integrating the hidden parts of yourself, becomes the only armor against such manipulation. Carl Jung's insights into the human mind illuminate these patterns, revealing not only the threats, but the keys to reclaiming control over your life. Understanding these tactics is not enough. You must observe the signs in your daily life, recognize when your shadow is being used against you, and take the first step toward integration. Every moment of doubt, every pang of guilt, every longing for approval is an opportunity to face your own unconscious, to strengthen your awareness, and to see through the veils of manipulation. Dark psychology thrives in ignorance, feeding on unexamined shadows and hidden insecurities. But once the shadow is acknowledged, once it is brought into the light of consciousness, the manipulator loses their power. Awareness itself becomes the first act of defiance. Even as you watch this, the patterns are unfolding around you. In workplaces, relationships, social media interactions, and casual conversations, the subtle strings of influence are pulled, exploiting your unconscious, tapping into your shadow, guiding your decisions without your consent. But the very act of understanding, of naming these tricks, creates distance. Knowledge becomes a shield. Every trick learned, every pattern identified, diminishes its potency. You begin to reclaim agency, not by confronting directly, but by seeing clearly, observing without attachment, and recognizing your shadow as an integrated part of yourself rather than a tool to be manipulated. By exploring these 5 tactics deeply, we have only begun to uncover the architecture of manipulation. There are further layers, deeper strategies that operate not just in action, but in perception itself, controlling thought, influencing belief, and shaping morality. These final tactics will reveal how manipulators turn your own mind against you, weaponizing your shadow in ways so subtle that most never notice until it is too late. But awareness and shadow work provide the path forward. By confronting the unconscious, integrating the hidden aspects of the self, and observing human behavior with clarity, you reclaim power, insight, and freedom from the invisible forces that seek to control you. The human mind is vast, filled with light and darkness. The shadow, that part of yourself which you deny, repress, or fail to recognize, is not merely a source of weakness. It is the key to understanding influence, manipulation, and power. Dark psychology seeks to exploit it, yet can also guide you to mastery over your own life. By studying the manipulative tricks of love bombing, silence, gaslighting, guilt, and future faking, and by connecting them to shadow work and Jungian principles, you begin to see the hidden architecture of control. You begin to see yourself, the world, and the minds around you with a clarity few achieve. In the next part, we will uncover the final 2 dark psychology tricks, exploring how manipulators shape perception and weaponize morality, while weaving practical steps to confront and integrate your shadow. This is where the unseen strings will be fully revealed, where understanding becomes empowerment, and where the path from victim to master begins. Every action you take from this moment, every thought you observe, every shadow you confront, builds resilience and illuminates the unseen forces of influence. Only by facing them directly, with knowledge, awareness, and courage, can you step into the power that lies dormant within your shadow. The journey of uncovering manipulation doesn't end with love bombing, silence, gaslighting, guilt, and future faking. There are deeper, subtler methods that exploit the unconscious, turning the shadow you hide into a tool against you. The sixth trick is one that hides in plain sight, almost invisible, yet devastatingly effective. It is the art of playing the victim. The manipulator positions themselves as suffering, weak, or misunderstood, triggering your empathy and your shadow's need to protect and rescue. You feel compelled to help, to justify their pain, to make up for perceived wrongs. Your own hidden insecurities respond instantly. The part of you that fears failure, rejection, or inadequacy becomes their lever. Carl Jung taught that projection allows us to see in others what we refuse to see in ourselves. The manipulator exploits this principle flawlessly. While you rush to console and compensate, your own boundaries dissolve, and your energy flows to their control. Playing the victim is dangerous because it twists morality and guilt together. The manipulator creates a moral imperative. If you are good, you will care. If you are kind, you will act. If you are loyal, you will sacrifice. These unwritten laws are reinforced by your shadow, the unexamined parts of yourself that crave approval and purpose. Each act of compliance strengthens their hold and reinforces the illusion that you are responsible for their emotional state. This is not love, friendship, or mentorship. It is an intricate form of dark psychology, a dance that manipulates your unconscious desire to be needed and virtuous. The seventh and final trick is one of subtle destruction masked by admiration, public praise paired with private disrespect. In public, the manipulator elevates you, compliments your decisions, praises your efforts, and seemingly celebrates your achievements. You feel seen, acknowledged, and validated. Your shadow, the part of you that desires recognition and belonging, absorbs this warmth. But in private, every word, every action, every interaction is designed to belittle, confuse, and destabilize you. Private disrespect is the crucible where self-doubt is forged. You question your worth, your choices, and even your perception of reality. Jung's shadow theory explains why this tactic is so effective. It attacks the duality of our nature, where our conscious self craves approval and our unconscious self carries fears of inadequacy. The contrast between public praise and private manipulation magnifies the impact, keeping you tethered to their control, uncertain and vulnerable, yet still chasing the fleeting warmth of acknowledgement. These 7 techniques, love bombing, silence, gaslighting, guilt, future faking, playing the victim, and the public-private manipulation cycle, represent a comprehensive architecture of control. They prey upon the shadow within, exploiting the unconscious, the denied, and the repressed parts of the psyche. They are not random or accidental. They are deliberate, psychological mechanisms that manipulate perception, morality, and emotion. To withstand them, to reclaim power, one must engage in deep shadow work, confront the darkness within, and integrate it fully into consciousness. Shadow work is the key to breaking free. It is the practice of facing the parts of yourself you deny, your anger, your envy, your desire for control, and your vulnerabilities. Carl Jung said that one does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. By observing your shadow without judgment, you see the ways manipulators exploit it. Every tactic loses potency once it is recognized. Awareness transforms the weapon into a tool for self-empowerment. When you acknowledge your need for approval, your susceptibility to guilt, your tendencies to rescue others, and your hidden insecurities, the manipulator no longer holds invisible strings. They are revealed, and you reclaim agency. Integration of the shadow requires deliberate action. First, Identify repeated patterns of manipulation in your life. Keep a journal of interactions that left you unsettled, confused, or doubting yourself. Ask yourself, what hidden fears or desires are being triggered? Which parts of my shadow are responding? Second, set boundaries based on this understanding. Recognize the difference between empathy and exploitation, between compassion and submission. The manipulator will test these boundaries, but shadow work gives you the awareness to maintain them without guilt. Third, reflect on your reactions. Jung emphasized the importance of self-observation. Notice how you respond, what emotions arise, and what unconscious drives influence your behavior. This awareness is the foundation of liberation. Each conscious choice strengthens your shadow, transforming it from a source of vulnerability into a reservoir of insight and power. To maintain psychological resilience, it is critical to layer your awareness with understanding of human behavior. Study the patterns of dark psychology, the Dark Triad, Machiavellian strategies, narcissism, and psychopathy. Observe them not to mimic or use, but to recognize them in others and protect yourself. When you combine knowledge of manipulation techniques with shadow integration, you form a dual shield, one of consciousness, one of insight. You begin to navigate relationships, social interactions, and business environments without falling prey to hidden agendas. The world of influence loses its grip because you see the mechanics, the unconscious levers, and the triggers that manipulators rely on. Shadow work also provides profound personal growth. By confronting the darker aspects of your psyche, you gain emotional intelligence, strategic awareness, and psychological endurance. Every trigger becomes an opportunity to learn, every encounter a lesson in perception. Carl Jung spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole by integrating all parts of the self, both light and dark. By acknowledging your shadow, you stop projecting it onto others, and you stop being unconsciously manipulated. Your mind becomes your own, grounded in insight, clarity, and self-mastery. The tricks of love bombing, silence, gaslighting, guilt, future faking, victim playing, and public-private deception no longer control you. They become visible patterns that you understand and navigate with precision. Even in business, dark psychology operates. Negotiations, leadership, marketing, and team dynamics often involve subtle psychological influence. Awareness of these principles gives you an advantage without compromising your integrity. You understand how persuasion works, when emotional levers are being pulled, and how to respond without falling into manipulation traps. Shadow work transforms fear and vulnerability into strategic insight. What once made you susceptible now becomes your strength. You can anticipate manipulation, disarm it before it strikes, and act decisively in your own interest while maintaining ethical standards. Now, consider the patterns of influence you see online, in media, and in everyday interactions. Advertisements, social media, and even casual conversation often rely on shadow triggers. Fear of inadequacy, desire for approval, and suppressed insecurities. Awareness of these triggers allows you to consume content critically, to respond consciously, and to avoid subconscious conditioning. Your shadow, once a hidden lever for others' manipulation, becomes a mirror for understanding human behavior. Dark psychology loses its sinister edge when met with conscious perception, shadow awareness, and practice discernment. To consolidate this understanding, apply 3 practical micro-strategies daily. First, pause before reacting. In any emotional encounter, give yourself a mental gap between stimulus and response. This interrupts unconscious patterns and allows shadow awareness to guide your reaction. Second, reflect on triggers at the end of each day. Identify moments where your shadow responded automatically, fear, envy, guilt, or desire, and consider alternative conscious responses. Third, cultivate self-affirmation rooted in shadow acceptance. Recognize your value independent of external validation, and acknowledge your shadow as part of your completeness. These steps reinforce retention of awareness, making it habitual and resistant to manipulation. By combining understanding of the 7 tricks, shadow work, and daily micro-strategies, you achieve a level of psychological resilience rare in the world today. The manipulator loses control not because they are weaker, but because you have illuminated the unseen architecture of influence. You see their methods, anticipate their moves, and maintain sovereignty over your own mind. Carl Jung said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." The manipulator becomes a teacher, the shadow becomes a guide, and the mind becomes a fortress. Finally, shadow work is not a one-time practice. It is an ongoing journey, a lifelong process of observing, integrating, and mastering the unconscious. Each relationship, each challenge, and each encounter with manipulation is an opportunity to deepen self-awareness. Dark psychology remains a tool of understanding rather than fear. Every time you witness love bombing, silence, gaslighting, guilt, future faking, victim playing, or public-private manipulation, your awareness strengthens. The shadow becomes your ally, your guide, and your source of insight. You are no longer a passive observer in the theater of influence. You are the conscious director, fully aware, fully integrated, and fully empowered. In conclusion, the 7 dark psychology tricks are not myths or paranoia. They are real strategies rooted in the deepest workings of the human mind. Love bombing, silence, gaslighting, guilt, future faking, victim playing, and public-private manipulation exploit the shadow we all carry. But the shadow is also the path to freedom. Through Jungian insight, shadow work, and conscious practice, you reclaim your mind, your decisions, and your life. Awareness transforms vulnerability into strength, manipulation into insight, and fear into mastery. Every moment you observe the unconscious, integrate the hidden, and act consciously, you reinforce your power and illuminate the darkness that once controlled you. This is the journey from shadow to mastery, from manipulation to liberation, from unconscious reaction to conscious creation. The world of influence may never disappear, but your shadow, fully understood and integrated, ensures you remain untouchable.